sense. Great stuff. System admin. So lot of BCom and BTech students, folks, right? I mean, with the educational background around BTech and BCom and MCA also, I can see a lot. BCA and MCA. Perfect. M farm. Right. Thanks a lot, folks. I've gotten a lot of answers already. So let's start. First of all, thank you everyone for joining in today. 200 people already, and we are and the chat is on fire. So let's see. Let's understand from the audience one more aspect, right? Very quickly, if you can put down in the chat, why data analytics? Why did you decide to pursue this, or why did you register for this webinar today? What brings you to data analyst analytics, right? What motivates you to probably try to enter this field? So can you write that as well in the chat, and I'll maybe again give you a few seconds to answer this. All right, answers coming in. Can we get more answers, please? Let's see. All right, I think we can now go through these answers also. Let's see. Good salary, of course. Okay. Develop new skills, new projects to resume. Okay. Salary. Okay. Lot of salaries. Vast scope, education, BBA, job, data associate. Okay, that is fine. Uh, Anuj, you can't see the chats because everyone's sending to hosts and panelists. Only that is enabled here, right? So that's why you're not able to see the chats. Transition career, yes, but why? That's the question, right? Uh, Not really any reason. I just want to explore, blend it well, makes sense. Continuous learning, solving problems, tangible impact. Very interesting, actually, right? Lot of very interesting motivations to be here, right? Um, okay, let me then start, right? I understand that people are coming from very different backgrounds, and you know, let's try to solve some of your problems today, right? Let's see how I can help you get to the other side. All right. Thanks everyone again for sending in your answers. I'm Ashwin. I'll be your host for today. I am an AI product manager at HRS Group. HRS is one of the world's largest B2B travel companies, and here I manage multiple data science teams across products like recommendation engine, hotel portfolio optimization, um, conversational AI products, and so on and so forth. Right. So we have a bunch of these products that I'm managing. Prior to this, I was working as a product analyst at Udaan. Udaan is India's largest B2B e-commerce. Prior to that, I had stints at Oyo Rooms and Hyperverge, and had graduated from IIT Ropar with a degree in mechanical engineering, right? Which is something that may be of interest to you. So I was not from a computer science background originally. But then I faced a lot of challenges, and I'll probably tell you about my journey later. But I did face a bunch of challenges, and eventually landed a good data science, first data analytics and then data science role, right? And eventually, no, Abhiraj, I've not done masters, and eventually I moved to data science, core data science, and then AI, and then AI product management. So the journey's been quite different, I would say, right? Unique maybe, but I want you all to learn from my mistakes. I want you all to transition very smoothly, right? I understand from you guys here, you're from very different backgrounds. I mean, from a healthcare to probably marketing, MBA, data analytics, of course, BTech, BCom, MCom, right? Very different backgrounds. So I'll just ensure that everyone is there with me, right? And I understand that you are now wanting to explore this, and some of you would end up becoming very good data analysts. So let me help you do that faster, right? Because in today's competitive job market, the fastest way to transition into a new role is to get the right guidance, first of all, right? To create the right roadmap. to have a very very solid roadmap that clearly tells you that okay, this is the next step you need to do, you need to follow, or this is the next thing you need to do, right? Should be very very clear. And that's where actually, there are a bunch of programs also that are out there in the market. For example, Coding Ninjas also has a data analytics job bootcamp that can really help you, not only teach the skills, of course it teaches the skills, but then also to prepare you to apply those skills in the real world, right? And I can probably confidently attest to that because I've been a mentor and instructor at Coding Ninjas for the last 3.5 years now. And I can vouch for this program, right? For the quality of the program, for the kind of value it has been able to deliver to students in the last 8 years, right? I mean, Coding Ninjas in the last 8 years, and the data analytics bootcamp in almost like 1.5 years, one and a, I mean, close to about 1.5 years now. So that is where I should be able to help you, right? And I've seen students who, with expert guidance, really transitioned. Like they were able to get their dream roles, and they just changed everything, right? The careers were transformed end to end. And at this point, and I think before I start with the session, Tavleen, if you can also share more details about the job bootcamp, because I believe some of the students would already be interested. Some of the folks here would already be interested in exploring the job bootcamp. It is a paid program by Coding Ninjas in data analytics, and it offers a very, very comprehensive approach and a structured learning path with placement assistance until you land your first job, right? So placement assistance, structured learning path, of course 24/7 doubt clearance, access to top industry mentors, and of course there's a lot more to it. If you feel like checking it, please fill the form in the chat. um, we've dropped we dropped it here in the chat, right? And I'll probably drop it again myself, so you can explore, you can fill the form. It's a very short form, I think 3 or 4 fields only, and we will call you back, right? If you fill the form, someone in the team will call you, and in case you want to explore or enroll, you will be qualifying for limited scholarship opportunities as well, which basically means that all the people attending today's webinar, there's a particular scholarship also in store for you. All right. So I spent 3 minutes, or let's say at least about 10 minutes on introduction and getting your feedback from the chat. So all of that. Let's now jump into Power BI, right? And before that, I want to just walk you through Excel because I want to show you how things work in e-commerce, right? Right. This is where we have the most interesting part, understanding e-commerce, right? See, Flipkart, Amazon, Udan even, right? And then Walmart, all these are big companies in the e-commerce space. This is a very interesting field. I was there previously, and I've been working on some of the problem statements. These really are, cutting edge problem statements. Um, Big Billion Days, for example, right, is a huge event, huge. Um, Billions of worth I mean millions in revenue, and this turns into billions in valuation of the company, right? So how do we really track the goodness of an event like BBD, right? How do we track which product is successful? How do we track the sales? How do we improve the product sales after that? And how do we really drive more sales? These are the kinds of questions I'll be answering. And let's see the uh, kinds of fields we have in a typical data set. Um, so just before that, right, very quickly, I have here with me a typical e-commerce data set. And what this does is this just tells you, this just shows you what are the kinds of questions and what are the kinds of problem statements companies like Flipkart aim to solve for, right? And how do they solve that? So first of all, I have, in this data set, this is a big billion days data set, like I mentioned. In this data set, I have product ID. That's the first column. This data set will eventually help me drive sales, right? This is the kind of data Flipkart is collecting or Amazon is collecting. So let me tell you, let's start with product ID. So we have product ID. That's the first thing. Um, there is, something like 1 2 3 4, some kind of an ID, right? So that's product ID. And then we have product name. I hope everyone can see my screen. I didn't check actually, but yes, I think it should be visible. We have product name. I will be taking throughout this the example of specifically in this case iPhone 15, right? Because that's what we saw recently. Um, Tosif, I should be able to share. So there's no data as such in this, right? I'll do that. Maybe let's see this at the end, right? But I want you to follow for now. Don't get distracted by the data. So product ID, what's the ID of the product, what's the name of the product, what is the brand. In this case iPhone 15, you all know, is from Apple. And then super category, this is basically the category, right? Baby care, electronics, lifestyle, mobiles and accessories, um, furniture, kitchen appliances, home and decor, so on and so forth, right? Bunch of, I mean, hundreds of categories maybe. So here I have electronics. That's the super category. What is the business unit? You might have heard of multiple business units. For example, for grocery, there's a particular business unit that Flipkart has. And then for quick commerce, which is something like 10-minute delivery, there is a new business unit that they have launched. What is it called? Can you tell me? It's called Flipkart Minutes. And then we have Flipkart, we have Amazon Kitchen, right? Something like that. Then we have Flipkart Grocery also. There are a bunch of business units. So this is where business unit becomes relevant, right? Fresh. Yes, thanks, Ketan. Thanks a lot. I'm not a very frequent user of Amazon, so Amazon Fresh. Um, so that's there. That's the business unit for you guys, right? And then we have GMV. Can anyone tell me in the chat what is GMV? I mean, this is the first question you get when you enter an e-commerce company. I mean, the first most important thing, not market value, not margin value, but gross merchandise value. What does this mean? This is basically the revenue, right? The gross merchandise value is how much worth of goods are you selling. If you're selling uh, 10 iPhones and every iPhone costs 1 lakh, what's the gross merchandise value? It's 10 lakh, right? So that is the revenue or the GMV. Daily run rate. Daily run rate is something we do not need to care about much, at least in this session. So this is basically on average, what's the or let's say um, how many items am I selling, right? On a daily basis, how many items am I selling? And then we have average selling price. On average, what's the selling price, right? For example, if I take a monthly data and on some of the days there may be a discount. So on average, what's the selling price? For example, on day one, the price may be 100. And on day two, because of some offer, the price may drop to 90. So what's the average selling price across these 2 days? It is 95, right? An average of 100, as you can see, this plus actually this plus this divided by 2. So that's the average selling price. And of course, this is not only for 2 days. We have this across months, across years, right? Depending on the time horizon that we are looking at. So that's the average selling price. And then discount percentage. What's the percentage discount? So big billion days, right? If you remember the context, I'm looking at the data for big billion days. What is big billion days? This is the largest sale for Flipkart, and Amazon Shopping Festival also, is similar to this. So there is a huge discount on most of the items. So that's where we have, in this case, 20% as the discount percentage, right? And then we have discount value. So let's say if the iPhone costs you 1 lakh rupees, in big billion days, it will cost you 80,000 because the discount percentage is 20%. And what's the discount value? This is 20,000, right? So I hope till here everything is clear. Screen is not visible. Bharat, I think you'll have to check because I can see and I can already feel that everyone is able to see this. So yes, I think you'll have to check something. It is visible for everyone. Um, per day sales, one click, one product click per time. All this is fine. Okay, very interesting. So let's move forward, right? Then there is this very interesting notion of Flipkart burn share. This is extremely important for the sales team because they want to understand in the total share or in the total burn, right? Let's say I'm burning, in this case, what's the discount? Discount is 20,000. That's why I've created this here for you. So the discount is 20,000 for iPhone 15 during Big Billion Days. What is the burn share of Flipkart? How much is Flipkart burning out of this 20,000? Now, if 20,000 is the discount, someone must be paying for this discount, right? This discount will not be given by or let's say we this will not be translated from Apple to the customer always, right? Someone will be giving this discount. Either Flipkart does it or the vendor, right? Who's the vendor? Whoever is selling this product. In this case, they would be trusted vendors of Apple, right? Or trusted distributors of Apple. In typical e-commerce terms, we call these national distributors and regional distributors, all that. So can you tell me, if we assume that Flipkart is spending 10,000 and the vendor is spending 10,000, out of this 20,000 burn, both of these parties are spending 10,000. So Flipkart agrees to burn 10,000 in order to drive sales, in order to increase sales, in order to promote sales, right? And in order to get more revenue from more sales. It is spending this 10,000. And the vendor also, Flipkart was able to convince the vendor to reduce the price by 10,000, or in a way give 10,000 discount. Now, can you tell me what is the burn share of Flipkart? What is the burn share of Flipkart in the chat, everyone? So 10,000 is the absolute value. So that is not the burn share. Burn share is percentage, right? Share percentage, right? I think you already saw the answer from here. So yes, it is 50,000, right? I mean 50%, right? Obviously, because out of the total burn, and that is 20,000, Flipkart is burning 10,000. And so very clearly, that is the burn share. And I think you are already one up now in the interviews, in e-commerce interviews. If you explain something like this, I'm sure it will be something that will impress the interviewers, right? So burn share, GMV, these are some important concepts. Let's see. Discount over BAU price. BAU is business as usual. The discount over BAU price is 20,000, right? Normally, you would have spent 1 lakh to buy an iPhone, but during Big Billion Days, you get it for 80k rupees, and the discount over BAU price is 20,000. Flipkart Assured. Do you know what is Flipkart Assured? Can you tell me what is Flipkart Assured? Maybe in the chat. There is this, yes, thanks, Resham. Guarantee. Similar to Prime. Is it similar to Prime? No. Ketan, this is not similar to Prime. That is Flipkart Plus. That is different. Right, so a lot of things, I do understand that e-commerce is a very complex ecosystem. I can totally relate with this. It is a seller guarantee, right? It is some kind of an assurance. So Flipkart does these quality checks, and sellers are also empaneled with Flipkart, and it runs a bunch of checks. So it has a set of, let's say, benchmarks, and if the product, or if that seller crosses that benchmark, specifically if the product crosses the benchmark, it is called Flipkart Assured. So here I would have yes or no, right? Flipkart Assured, yes or no. Um and uh, this is, I think, similar to Amazon's Choice. Maybe this is probably closer to Amazon's Choice than Amazon Prime, right? This is more in that direction. But yes, you can also have something like Flipkart Plus uh, guarantee or something, right? So you can have other parameters here. But let's move forward. Great. Inventory. What is the stock? How many items do I have in my stock of Apple iPhone 15? So let's say I have 1,000 items, right? Out of the 1,000 items that I have, that's the supply basically, right? I have 1,000 items in the stock. That's the supply that I can assure to the customers that, okay, if the customers place 1,000 orders, I'll be able to fulfill those 1,000 orders. So that's the inventory. And then what is the inventory score that we see? The inventory score is basically, out of the 1,000 orders that I have, out of the 1,000 orders that I have, how many am I able to really fulfill? So if I have 2,000 demand, if the demand is 2,000 and the inventory is only 1,000, the inventory score is basically 50%. Or if the inventory is 1000, but the demand is actually 500, then I'm able to fulfill, actually I have 50% extra, right? I have double the amount of goods that are required. So this is like the health of the inventory. How does supply and demand really meet? Are supply and demand close to each other? This is what inventory score tells me. So if your inventory has a good score, means that your supply is closer to the demand, right? Let's just put it that way. And then I have a bunch of other metrics. I don't want to cover all of them now. So very quickly, daily product page view. What is this? This is on a daily level, how many, or let's say, how many people viewed the product page. For example, Apple iPhone 15, there would be a product details page, right? So how many people are viewing that product details page at a daily level, right? On a daily level. I would have quickly opened Flipkart and shown you, but I think you already understand this. And then we have click through rate. How many people who landed on the page actually clicked on the page? For example, if there's a list, is if you search for Apple iPhone 15, you may get a list of items in Flipkart or Amazon. How many people are actually clicking on a particular listing there, right? Out of 100 users, how many users actually clicked on that listing? That is the click through rate. Great. Now, can you define what is conversion? What do you think would be conversion in Flipkart in this context, right? What do you think would be conversion? Conversion. What is conversion? How do you define conversion in this case? More answers. I see. I mean, I want 200 responses basically. Right? Only 20 people are interacting out of 200. So let's see how we can increase this. Bhagyashree has a very interesting answer. Who bought versus who viewed? That's a great answer, right? Out of the people, and let me give you the answer now. Out of the people who are landing on the page on, or who are searching for iPhone 15, or who really want to buy iPhone 15, right, and show an intent to do so, how many actually bought, or how many actually converted, right, or made the payment? So conversion is, if you look at the funnel, how does the funnel look like? So I visit, right? I visit the, um, let's say I search for iPhone 15. So I would call this rather search, right? So searching for iPhone 15, 1,000 people searched for iPhone 15. And then there are, let's say, 10, 20 listings. Only 100 people opened a particular listing. Only 100 people opened the item details page or the iPhone details page, right? And out of those 100 people, only 10 converted or only 10 ended up buying. Can you now tell me the conversion rate? Conversion rate is 1%. So in this case, conversion rate would be 1%. I hope this is clear. Not zero point 0.1, Tosif. 1, because 10 users are converting, right? Super. I'm happy to see everyone following, right? You just need to be very focused, right? Because some of these things, because I'm now moving to Power BI, you might not be able to relate when you see this in Power BI. And then we have a bunch of other things: product ad spend, how much I'm spending on the product in terms of ads, and how much from the spend I'm consuming, that you can ignore for now. Customer rating, extremely important. What's the rating given by the customer? And how many ratings did the customer give? Right? How many ratings, or how many customers actually gave the rating? Basically, that's what I intend to, what I mean by this. How many people actually gave the rating? And the customer rating, of course, and then the profit margin, right? The contribution margin. In this case, let's just look at it from a profit lens. What is the profit? What is the overall profit I'm gaining through that sale, through each sale, right? And while there may be many use cases of this kind of a data set, one of the use cases can be at a product level, right? Because this is one product. So at this product level, for this product, I mean, are we profitable? Are we making money? Right? Are we generating some profit, or is there a loss? So we may have, in this case, right, we may have a profit, So that may be plus, let's say 5%. Or if we have a negative number here, what would that mean? Can you tell me what does a negative, let's say 10% mean here? What would this mean if I have a negative contribution margin? Yes, Karapu, I will just explain this. So basically, contribution margin or the profit is how much I'm earning, or let's say the revenue minus the cost, right? So in terms of, or sorry, I mean overall, am I really making money out of it? So let's say I'm spending 100 rupees to buy something, and the product itself cost me 90 rupees, right? So the profit is this revenue minus cost, and that is 10 rupees. So that's the profit. Am I making money out of it? Right? Am I profiting from that? Yes, sale minus variable cost, CP minus SP, all fine. Yes, so the negative means more burn than we earn. Great, Amar. And loss. Yes, it means loss basically. All right. I hope everyone is with me so far. Let me now jump to Power BI. And I'll just want to show you the kind of insights that we can get from this data. I hope everyone is able to see Power BI. Great. Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Great. Um, so as you can see here, right, some of these insights, and you'll now recognize some of these terms: GMV, super category, business unit, Flipkart Assured, right? We are going to create this kind of a very quick chart today, right? I mean, uh, this UI today, right? Page. So this dashboard I'll be creating in the next 15 minutes. 15 odd minutes is exactly what we need to create a similar dashboard. And then we can see that there are lots and lots of insights that are available through this dashboard, right? Through this report. So these are all the columns. Let me now start with this and let's get into it. So let's see this. These are all the columns that you just saw, right? Remember? Average selling price. I also have the brand. I think I didn't show you then. I forgot maybe. So the brand of the, I think, yes, I did actually. So Apple was the brand, if you remember, right? And then business unit, click through rate, profit, conversion, and so on and so forth. All the categories, all the products, sorry, the fields that we discussed. Great. I can see, can we get recording? Soumya, we may host on YouTube, so you may check there. But towards the end, you can just remind us if, if you want to check. Okay, let's see. So I always like to start with filters. And one of the filters that I would want to see here is the super category, right? In this case, as you can see, I have beauty, electronics, fashion, and home. These are the super categories I have. I will just probably increase the size of the values so that you can see. I can understand that some of you may be joining from mobile. While I don't recommend that, I will still try to accommodate and see if we can increase the size for you. Great. So this is the super category, right? This is the first filter. Let me add some more filters. For example, I would want to see the trends for Flipkart Assured versus non-Flipkart Assured. So this is the second filter I add, Flipkart Assured, right? And then we'll keep on adding filters on the fly. So let me start with the burning question in the room, the most important. So how do we create charts and graphs? We always start with questions. At least I like to do that, and that's something I would recommend everyone to do. Always start with a question. So the question that I want to answer now is, which super category was the most profitable, right? Don't you think this will be a very important question for the CEO or for the CTO or the COO of the company or the chief business officer and what have you? But this will be a very important metric, right? Profitability across categories. How do I do that? I simply create this column chart. I drop contribution margin right? Average contribution margin maybe in that category, and I will just drop super category on the x-axis, and voila, we have the answer. And how does the answer look actually? Can you see? Can you tell me what is happening here? Which, okay, tell me. Trick question, by the way. Which category has the highest profit? Which category has the highest profit? And I wish I could have shown other people's answers to you, because you would have laughed if you would have seen the answers here. Some people will give very random answers. So which one has the highest, let's say, profit? Nitin, legends are not required, right? There's only one metric that I'm showing, and that metric is average contribution margin or average profit. No, Arti, structure is not upside down. Just look at the y-axis. It is 0 and minus 0.5 minus 1. Great. So people answering home, you are right. But why beauty and why electronics? Okay. Home is the right answer. So see, first of all these categories are in a loss. All of them are in loss, right? They are losing money. And then which category is losing the least amount of money, and that is home, which is why I say that profit is highest for home, right? I mean, there's no profit if you really ask me. No one is profiting, but then no one is profitable, but then home is the one that is having the least loss, and hence the highest, let's say, profit in a way. So that is the right answer, home. So that's the first chart, right? And this is already very, very important, right? Very informative, very useful insight for me. Next, I want to look at the GMV, the revenue again across categories, right? Can you see, can you check this out? So I have the total GMV. I'm finding the sum of GMV, not the average GMV now, the total GMV in each category, right? I want to see this across categories. Okay. Can you tell me, or let me do it this way, right? I think this is better. So which category has the highest GMV? Which category is making the most money? Not profit, but the revenue. Which category is making the most revenue? Can you tell me in the chat? So do you notice one? Did you notice one thing? I am not doing anything else. I'm just asking a question. I'm asking a question and creating a chart. Asking a question, creating a chart. That's the only thing you should do. There's nothing else. I mean, data visualization, you folks, is very simple. It always starts with a question. That's what makes it simple, right? So that is exactly how you need to proceed. All of you have given the right answer here, and that is beauty. Beauty is the, uh, I mean, the highest revenue category. All right, let me now understand the conversion percentage, right? Okay, I have, let's say, and this is dummy data, by the way, right? And I used, for your information, I used ChatGPT to create this dummy data, because obviously I will not get Flipkart confidential data, right? Or even Udan or any of the companies that I've worked with. I'll not get the confidential data, and I will not be allowed to share with you. So I've generated this data using ChatGPT, and you can do the same as well, right? So I have these product names. Let me show you how these product names look like. I want to see for these product names, for all the products that I have, which product has the highest conversion percentage, right? So average conversion percentage across products. Can you see product 60 has the highest conversion percentage, and that is also only 0.1%. So out of 1,000 customers, only one customer is actually converting. And this is, for your information, this is how typical conversion numbers look like, right? Typical conversion numbers. Out of 1,000, one would convert as expected, right? So This is conversion percentage by product. So across products, what is the conversion percentage? So I will have this here. This is the chart that is immediately next. What text? I want to understand, in the conversion numbers that I have, right? In the total in across the business units, let's say, which business unit is contributing. Notice what I'm doing here, by the way. I'm just asking a question again, right? I'm just asking a question. So I always keep on coming back to this point. Start with question always. And I've learned this technique through a lot of years of experimenting and getting better at this craft, right? Data science and data analytics is not only a science, of course, it is a science, but it is also an art, right? And you learn this art by doing. So I've learned by doing. So what's the question? What's the next question? Across business units, which business unit contributed the most to the revenue? So I will create a pie chart here. So I just asked a question and I got an idea that okay, this question will be best answered by a pie chart. By which type of visualization? By a pie chart. Let me show that. So business unit comes under details and the revenue comes under values. Can you see this? So unit A, unit B, and unit C are the three business units I have. Can you tell me which business unit contributes to the most in revenue from this chart? Clearly A, right? Clearly. So I will just keep this here, right? This is the next one. Okay. Next, let me just arrange these a bit. I will fit in more stuff here. So let's do that. Yeah. Great. Now I want to understand, while we've seen revenue, we've seen profits, we've seen across business units, super categories, and product names, a bunch of things, right? We've understood how products are performing, how super categories and units are performing. Now I want to see across, let's say, brands, right? Across brands, how does my customer rating vary? Do you think for Apple as a brand, the customer rating will be low? I don't think so. For Apple, the customer rating will be very high. Now, obviously, I'm not associated with Apple in any ways, but this is just a reflection of the kind of trends that we see and the sales that we see for Apple as a brand, right? So for a particular brand, what is the average customer rating? So I want to see that. I will create a line chart here for a brand which goes on the x-axis. What is the average customer rating that I see? Not the sum, but the average. Which one looks like Apple in this? Which one is, I mean, let's say Apple has very high customer ratings. Which of these looks more like Apple? Is there a bad brand? No, I don't want to call any brand bad, but let's say there's a bad brand, that would be brand A. And brand D would be not brand. So Anuj, the answer to this is brand D, right? Because essentially brand D is the one that has the highest customer rating, right? On average. I also have the customer rating count, and I now want to also plot this on the secondary y-axis. So just notice this chart. How does this change? See, I also have on the secondary y-axis, I have the customer rating count. So how many customers rated for brand B? How many customers rated for brand D? For example, for brand D, 13,000 customers actually gave a rating, right? So this is the sum of customer rating. So brand D is performing really well, by the way. Is it really performing well? Now the next question is it really performing well in terms of revenue also? That's the next question. And I will probably, just as an extension to this same chart, I will create another chart to see that across brands. On the x-axis I have brands. Across brands, how does revenue vary? Can you see brand D actually does not have the highest revenue. Brand C has the highest revenue, while brand D is, and this is like a classic example of, let's say, Oppo, Vivo. Those would be having probably higher revenue because of the sales in numbers, right? More number of Oppo and Vivo bought. That would be brand C, but brand D would be Apple. While Apple may have a higher customer rating, uh, Oppo, Vivo would probably be the more sold phone. So let's just think of it that ways. So this is where this graph also fits in, right? I will just increase the size of this, and now we come to the last one. And here I would just like to um, display some card visuals. What is a card? A card just tells you, number specific numbers. For example, click through rate. I'll just take the average click through rate. For example, for product 60, I want the average click through rate. It is 0.09, and you see that everything got filtered accordingly, right? It is a part of unit B, it is a part of the home category, and it is brand A, right? It belongs to brand A basically, and that's product 60. And similarly, I can filter out anything. I can filter anything, right? Let's say I want to check only for Flipkart Assured. I select yes here and see everything gets filtered. So that is, guys, the dashboard that I set out to create. The goal is not the dashboard, but the storytelling piece. That's the goal, right? That's the most important. So in real life projects, the next step for you would be to create a story out of it, right? To generate insights from this and create a story and communicate that to the stakeholders, the CEO of the company, your managers, business team, product managers, so on and so forth, right? So that's the story you need to create. Now, the next step for me as a data analyst or as a data scientist is to just make this more interesting, right? To just ensure that people are able to follow, people do not lose track, right? And for that, I typically like to add a visual border and a shadow, at least, right? So I can add that visual border, shadow. I can also change the background color. For example, in this case, this is the background color. I can again here give some other color to this and something else here maybe, right? So all this you can do within Power BI. This dashboard will then be published, right? And you will be able to send it out to stakeholders through Power BI service, and yeah, they should be able to access it post that. Great. Let me just add some more colors here, or okay, let me change the color actually. Great stuff. Now comes the probably the next interesting bit, and that is I open the floor for some interesting discussion, right? Let me just do that. I see a lot of questions in the chat, but just before I do that, right, let me remind you, and also for the people who joined late, it is time for the Q&A, but I just want to remind you about the job bootcamp. I see that there are a lot of questions related to general transition, right? How do I get into data and all? So, and this is for those who missed or joined late. I will also share the form link here again, right? Let me do that. So, if you're interested in joining the data analytics job bootcamp, which helps you transition, you can fill this form. It's a very short form. Uh, for your information, the Data Analytics Job Bootcamp is a 6 months program designed by Coding Ninjas, and it offers comprehensive training, interview preparation, of course, that's extremely important, and also placement assistance. And as you know, we are a sister subsidiary of Naukri.com, and which is the number one job website in India, right? So the best opportunities from there come to us, or they actually come to us first, right? So we benefit a lot from that, which is why we are confident that we should be able to help you with placements also. So we will help you with placement assistance until you secure your first role. Again, if you want to know more, anything you want to understand around this, please fill the form. If you fill the form, we will definitely reach out to you, right? Because see, I want you to learn from my mistakes, right? What did I do when I was wanting to transition? I used a bunch of sources across YouTube, across platforms. Coding Ninjas was also, I mean, something that I would have explored. Then hundreds of other platforms, right? But there was no structure to my learning, right? One topic from one source, second from another source, no practice, no interview preparation, no mock interviews, no doubt clearance. All of that was not there. But this program that we have today is very structured, everything in one place. You don't need to innovate, you don't need to think much, right? You just need to follow the roadmap. So that's what structure does to you, right? That's what structure helps you with. And if you're done filling the form, I think now we can move ahead to the questions. And this is where I was talking about the interesting discussion that we will have. So I see this very interesting question already, right? Um, and let me just, for everyone's information. Okay, someone says I'm in a hospital. Let's ignore that. Um, how would you decide? So if you're in a hospital, you can, I mean, ask for recording as well, maybe, right? How would you decide which charts to be used for different visualization? That's a great one, Ketan. And this is where we were talking about the art versus the science, right? So the art aspect you will learn by doing, right? I mean, data analytics is not something you get on the first day. This is something that you will learn as you move forward, as you progress. How did I decide which chart to use when? I mean, it was gut feeling, but that gut feeling developed from lot of analysis, lot of work across data sets. So you need to develop what kind of data needs what kind of visual are the same, right? I mean, for example, I want to see the share across categories. I will use a pie chart for that. If you want to see, across category, or let's say if you want to see a trend line, if you want to see across months or across dates, how did some metric vary? That's why you use the line chart. For example, this one, right? In this case, for example, you can see that there are these categories, four categories. How did these four categories really, what are the metrics corresponding to these four categories, and how did they vary across these categories or these brands? So all of that. Um, with that, I see 121 people. I want one very important promise for all of you. This is like a project for all of you, right? This is something that's a feather in your cap already. You now are one up, or you are a cut above the rest now. You are one up in terms of, you have some benefit through this session. You've done a project, right? This is like a mini project. I call this a mini project. Just ensure you demonstrate this well in your resume, right? In your resume, if you don't demonstrate this, or anywhere, maybe on LinkedIn or somewhere else, or in a blog post, if you don't demonstrate this, right, this learning, of course you have this learning, but then you're not convincing the recruiter that you have this learning, right? I hope you get what I mean. So while you would have learned some concept, you need to tell the world, you need to sell yourself, right? You need to tell the world that you got that learning. So that's where you need to also either, I mean, the best way is to post on LinkedIn, but another way is to add this to your resume, right? That's again a very good way. And by the way, if you're posting on LinkedIn, please tag Coding Ninjas and me, maybe in the uh, I'll probably share my LinkedIn if you want, because people are asking for it. So if you're tagging, if you are posting this, and I definitely recommend posting this on LinkedIn or any other social media platform, please tag uh, either me or Coding Ninja, or both of us ideally, right? And I've shared my LinkedIn in the chat. So demonstrate, right? Tell the world that this is a project that you've built, and do this yourself, of course. You know, get any data set from the internet. I would have shared this data set with you, but this is not proprietary, and this is, I mean, some random data that I used. Right? You can just give these columns, these bunch of columns, and maybe ask ChatGPT to create an e-commerce data set for you, and use that to demonstrate to the world that you know Power BI and you've learned something, right? Okay. What are some key points to explain during the interview so that the recruiter can understand that I have the knowledge and can stand out from other candidates? Vineet, that's a great question. Um, Demonstrate how your projects have, or demonstrate your projects through LinkedIn posts, through putting them on your resume, through some dashboards. Just show them that, see this, explore this dashboard and see that I have created this, right? So you need to really show and you need to tell, right? You do not really show without showing, or do not tell this without really having something to show. So ensure that you have that, that piece that sells. So this is the front end. While you may have everything on the back end, you may still not be able to sell yourself, right? So you need to also sell yourself. For that, just ensure that you have some front end to show, or a dashboard to show, right? That's what I always recommend. Always add a link in your resume to the dashboard. That's what I always recommend, Vineet. And another thing is, in order to stand out from other candidates, right? One thing you can do is take some, some project that is related to the industry you are interviewing. For example, in this case, e-commerce. If you are interviewing for Flipkart, Amazon, this is extremely relevant. But maybe not that relevant if you're interviewing for, let's say, Google, maybe, right? Or maybe a Microsoft. So depending on the industry and depending on the kind of company you are interviewing for, just do a project accordingly, right? It always helps. So you can do a mini project according to the company you are interviewing. All right, more questions, folks. I'll just take two more. What is the storytelling part after creating the Power BI report? Are we supposed to create a detailed report explaining the insights? Priya, you may have to create a presentation, at least some PowerPoint presentation, right? So the storytelling is, I cannot stress this enough, but it's the most important step. And data analysts, data scientists, they undervalue, right, the importance of storytelling. Now, once you have these charts and insights, and anyone can do this, frankly, but are you able to really demonstrate, or are you able to convey the insights in a very, very effective manner to the stakeholders? And that is how they will be able to take a decision from this, right? That's how they will be able to take a decision, and that is something that will really speak. So that is something you need to do, data storytelling. How do you distill the learnings from these charts, derive the learnings and insights from these charts, and communicate to the stakeholders through a story? That, okay, for example, in this case, beauty is probably the category that sells the most, but we get the most profits from the home category, maybe. And then within the home category, the brand D is the brand that is most liked by customers, and we get the most profits also from brand D. But maybe, brand C is the one that gives us the most revenue. So broadly, we should look at promoting brand C in the Big Billion Days sale more, and while also, you know, um, getting some deals for brand D through the vendors. Right? This is the kind of story that you need to create. I hope you get an idea, right? I hope you get an idea. Kavya asks, can you help me with a prompt? Sure. I mean, one prompt can be, and just hear this carefully. Um, and this is the prompt you can give to ChatGPT and any of the Gen AI tools. I am a data analyst at Flipkart. I want to analyze how some products are performing in the Flipkart Big Billion Days sale, generate a data set with all the most important fields that will help me understand whether the products are performing well and whether they are profitable or not. This is an example of a good prompt. And by the way, I the prompt that I gave was not even this good, right? It was worse. So this will even get you better data. So that's there. But thanks everyone for all this. I see a lot of questions in the chat around Naukri.com and around the data analytics job bootcamp. And I will take this opportunity to now invite Karan Khanna, who's a senior program expert in the Coding Ninjas team, to tell you about the data analytics job bootcamp so that you can take a more informed decision, right? It's not only about the bootcamp or buying some course or bootcamp. It is about how you can transition, how you can get to the next level. So even if you're not interested in the bootcamp as such, but are interested in making the transition, I think Karan will be able to help you. And you should fill the form, by the way, if you really want to do that, right? I'll just share it also again in the chat. Last question, I am seeing, how do you post this on LinkedIn? Great question, Praveen. So you can just take a screenshot of this, post it on LinkedIn, tag me and Coding Ninjas, right? Or you can create a video by clicking on beauty. Everything gets, let's say, by clicking on any of the filters, everything gets changed. The view gets changed, numbers move, data moves, all that you can do. So you can create a short video. So these are the two things that I see very common, right? A lot of my mentees from the course to outside of the course are doing this, and they tag me. So and I will reshare, right? I typically repost, and lot of comments also come. So we'll try to do that also and promote, right? So that you get recruiters attention also, right? And that's my goal also, to help you get a job. So let's move forward. Thanks for this, everyone. See you on the other side, right? Karan, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ashwin, for such an informative session. First of all, and